what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds. I'm a property investor and I've been running a property investment channel now for about 6 years, and I've been full-time in property for 14 years. And in this video, I want to tell you why I actually think now, in 2023, is one of the best opportunities to get into property. Now, some of you who are broke and don't know anything about the economy will think, Samuel, you're crazy, you're deluded. But I'm going to give you 10 reasons why I believe that now is a good time for you to be buying properties. The first reason is because everybody's scared right now. Warren Buffett, who's one of the richest men in the world, says, when everyone's scared, when everyone's getting out, that's when you should get in. All the rich people right now are investing in property. They're buying land, and the media are telling you not to do it. So if you're like, oh no, Samuel, you're deluded, now's a bad time, you're probably listening to the media. You're probably listening to the newspapers. So the first reason I think you should get in now is because everybody else is not. Everybody else is being scared. Imagine if there's a market stand and they're selling fruit, and then they get to a point where they need to get rid of the fruit. They're really motivated to sell the fruit fast. And then you're like, ooh, it's scary. No, now go in and get cheap fruit. In the same way, when houses are selling cheap because people are worried about interest rates, because people are worried about house prices dropping, when people are worried about the economy and what's happening, then now's the time to get in. So that's the first reason. The second reason that I think you should get in now is because getting into property is not just investing in property. It's not just buying a house and renting it out. Getting into property is finding deals, flipping them, packaging and selling properties, controlling properties, taking rooms and sticking them on Airbnb. Getting into property means getting into property. It means being a property investor and entrepreneur. And I think right now, we need to make money, more money. The average salary is about £2,000, £3,000 a month after tax. And then after you've paid your rent and your bills, what are you left with? Nothing. There's a cost of living crisis. So the second reason I think that you need to get into property now is because property is a really good way to make extra money. Even if you're not investing in property, you could be packaging and selling deals, trading properties, controlling properties. Sometimes I just think, how on earth are people living on £2,000 a month right now? Because the average rent is £1,000. Energy prices and utility bills have tripled over the last 12 months. You need right now not to be saving money, not to be being frugal. You need to be finding ways to 10x your income. You need to be finding ways to earn £20,000, £30,000 a month. That's the solution. Property lends itself to you being a property entrepreneur as well as just a property investor. That's reason number 2. Reason number 3, if you invest in property, regardless of what's going to happen over the next 6-12 months, property is one of the safest investments you can invest in. It is a commodity. If you own land, they're not building any more land. Okay? The richest people on the planet are investing in real estate right now. It's real estate because it's real. If you invest into cryptocurrency and bitcoins and even businesses, I'm not saying they're bad investments. I invest in businesses too. I've invested in cryptocurrencies. But the thing that you're buying can disappear. If you buy a business or you invest in a business, that business can crash and burn. If you buy a house, even if the house crashes and burns, even if there's World War III and you lose the house, you still have the land. And the land, the freehold land, is what holds its value. And right now there's a massive population of people and the world isn't getting any bigger. So own a piece of earth. Own as much land as you can. Someone once said, don't wait to buy land and wait. And that's because it always holds its value. Look back over the last 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, and see that land has been the best thing holding its value up there with gold. And ultimately, the best investment is not property, it's yourself. But that's the third reason why I think you should be buying property and getting into it in 2023. Reason number 4, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor, smash the like button. Go ahead and hit that like button, okay? Reason number 4 is because the government are actually making it easier to make money in property. The rich people invest in property and the rich people make the rules. For example, recently they changed permitted development rules. So there's a lot of properties now that you can do things to, like you can extend, you can build at the side, you can take commercial properties and you can change the use and convert them into residential properties. All of these things you can now do without getting planning permission. That is huge. So while all the poor people are listening to the media about being scared and about not getting into property, the rich people are seeing the new changes, seeing the new rules, making the new rules, and are taking advantage of some of these new rules. There's a massive shortage of houses right now in the UK, and the government are making it easier for developers to develop homes. So go where the tide is going. So I think for that reason, I'm in. Reason number 5, I touched on this already, the rich people are doing it. When Lloyd's Bank are telling you not to invest in property because it's risky, look at what they're doing. Follow the money. If you can see that Lloyd's Bank, what are they doing? Investing aggressively into property. Even Bill Gates is investing heavily into land. Look at what the rich people are doing. Go to the Sunday Times rich list and look at what everyone's doing. Go on Company's House, find out what they're owning, find out what they're buying, and you'll see they're buying property, they're buying land. So for you to sit here and say, oh, Samuel, you're talking nonsense, well, not only am I wealthy in doing property and land and development and real estate, but all the other wealthy people doing, am I crazy? Am I deluded? Or maybe is the media deluding the average person right now? Next, number 6, property pays you 3 times. You get paid once when you buy the house, assuming you buy it at the right price, of course. If you buy a house that's worth 200,000, but you buy it for 160, you got it 40,000 pounds below market value, which right now there are people doing because they're motivated to sell because they're scared. Straight away, you made 40,000 pounds in what we call theoretical equity. That's the first time you get paid. Next, number 2, you get paid then when you rent the property out. Again, assuming you rent it out at the right price. If you rent it out really low and it's a really high price, the rent might not cover the mortgage payments. So you've got to buy it at the right price and you've got to rent at the right price. Maybe rent it out by splitting it into a HMO on permitted development rights, like we talked about. Or maybe rent it out on short stay lets. But you're going to get paid a monthly rental income. And number 3, you're going to get paid when? When the house goes up in value. Now you might be thinking, but Samuel, it's going to drop. Maybe it will. Maybe houses are going to drop. I predicted that in a video a few months ago that this year I think houses will drop generally if you buy the wrong house especially. But once it drops, what's then going to happen? What's going to happen in 10 years? It's going to go up. House prices on average double in value every 10 years. And every 10 years, because I was saying this 10 years ago, everyone goes, oh, but not this 10 it won't, and it did. It did last 10, the 10 before, the 10 before, the 10 before. Now, of course, this is a general principle. This is not a rule, but the principle is that house prices hold their value over time and keep going up. So you're getting paid multiple times when owning properties. Next point, number 7, passive income is real. The biggest myth about passive income is that passive income doesn't exist. It does. And the best vehicle for passive income, in my experience, because you can make passive income from vending machines and e-commerce, business, but the most passive of all passive incomes, in my opinion, is property, is real estate, especially commercial property. If you own property and you rent it to commercial tenants, like I do with quite a lot of my properties, it is completely passive. You get in your rent on a 10-year lease every year. How many times do you have to work? No, you don't. Income coming in without working. Most people work for money. They trade their time for money. When you own property and you rent it out, the money just keeps coming in even if you're asleep. It's the best passive income vehicle, I believe, in the world. Next, number 8. Property is a tax haven. I said it. Let me explain. There's many ways you can write taxes off through property. I mean, I'll give you a couple, okay? Disclaimer, I'm not a tax professional, so I can't give tax advice. So I'm gonna touch on it and then you go do your own research. Number 1, how do rich people not pay taxes? Let me explain. A rich person sets up a company and what they do is they push the value up of that company and then rather than taking income from the company, because then they're gonna pay income tax, they don't do that. They borrow money against the company. That's what they do. And what is property really good at? Well, it's really good at borrowing against it. If you own real estate, instead of selling and paying capital gains tax or corporation tax, instead of just renting and paying income tax, you can borrow against the property. And that money that you're taking out of the property, you don't pay any tax on. And with that money, you can buy more properties or you can go on holiday or whatever you want. But I would advise snowballing your portfolio. So from a tax perspective, also, pensions. I now have a pension, but the only sole purpose of that pension is to invest in property. And you don't pay tax. Again, go do your own research on this and find out what you can do from a tax perspective. Or if you're one of my students, we can sit down together, I can introduce you to my team. But the tax breaks in property mean for me, I'm in. Number 9. There's so many different strategies that you can do within property. You can do lease option agreements, HMOs, serviced accommodation, rent to rent, deal packaging, buy, refurbish, refinance, commercial property, property development, commercial to residential. Like, there's just so many different ways. So depending on your skill set, right? And depending on where you are, if you've got no money and you're starting out from scratch and you're like, well, I ain't got any money, well, fine. You can do deal packaging, package deals and sell them. Or you can control properties on rent to rent. If you've got loads of money and you're a bit risky and you're all worried about the market dropping, great. Buy land and push the value up by getting planning permission and then flip it. The pie is so big in property. So anyone says, now's a bad time to get into property, it's like, well, what are you talking about? Do you even know how to get into property? Maybe it's a bad time to buy a house and live in it, but it was always a bad time to buy a house and live in it because that doesn't give you any money. So the diversifications in property that you can do make it an absolute yes for me. And lastly, number 10, the property community is just an amazing, supportive, uplifting space. I've got a property community. I run, property events and communities, my property academy, and the people are so uplifting and positive. I was thinking recently, if I ever quit property, which I never would, but if I ever did, what would I miss the most? And it wasn't actually the properties that I would miss the most. It's not even the money. It's the community of people that are supportive and positive. Being around good people is so, so important in business and in life for your own well-being. And the amount of beautiful people in the property community is incredible. So if you want to be part of the property community, if you want to come and meet with me in person and meet my team, I'd like to invite you to spend £1 and come down to the Property Investors Crash Course. I'm going to leave a link in the description. And I believe if you know what you're doing and if you're prepared to work hard, now is the best time ever to get into property.